So I'm always respectful to everybody, who sort of says who calls and says, I'd like to have you speak at a conference or facilitate an event or whatever, do this professional development or usually keynotes we're talking about here. And so some organization says, we don't have a budget for speakers. Okay, normally I will say, I'm probably not the right person for you then. And they say, oh, why is that? And the answer is this, very simply. If you don't have a budget for speakers, you can get industry speakers, or you're going to end up with speakers who are going to sell, or you're going to end up with people that are, quote, just starting out. And if the purpose of bringing everyone together is to make a difference in one way or the other, having somebody who's just starting out who views it as a platform to make a difference, okay, and when somebody says, well, it's great exposure for you. Well, you know what? You got to pay the rent, right? So exposure is kind of nice, but exposure sort of assumes that you know, you're going to sell to people, right? You're going to use your time on the stage to sell. And I don't think that's in the interest of the audience. And I suspect the meeting organizer, um, it's not in their interest either. I've got a professional speaker friend that I respect a lot. And a client called this person up and said, you'd be the perfect speaker because, and it had to do with the person's expertise and so on. And the topic, and then the topic of fees came up, and it was, well, we don't have any budget. Okay, and the conversation ensued basically, well, I'm probably not the right speaker for you. There's a lot of other people that are just starting out that might be in your range, etc. And then she had a brainstorm. Okay, this conference was taking place in the Caribbean, and they did not have a speaker budget, but they did have a travel budget. And she said, you know what? If you pay for a hotel for the week for me and my husband and my two kids, um, I'd consider doing it at a very, very much reduced fee. And they said, oh, you'd consider doing that? She says, yeah, absolutely. And, she's going on a vacation anyway, I guess. So she decided to do a contra, if you will. And I think that was a good creative idea. Okay, there's only so many weeks you could spend in the Caribbean or Mexico, etc., per year. But I really think the question of fees is a tough one for organizations that have zero budget. Sometimes you could deal with sponsors. Can you have a sponsor a particular speaker? Sometimes you say, well, I don't mind if I've got vendors who are going to be speaking, as long as everyone knows that they're going to be sold to, right? Or perhaps industry speakers. But if you actually want to get somebody who's got deep experience, understands some, best of class processes, who's motivating and who's actually skilled at communication, then you've got to pay. And so the question is, well, how much should you pay? Well, I would say, you could spend between 5,000 on one end to 50K. And somewhere between that, call it 5 and 50K, that's kind of where you'll find the professional speakers. The ones, by the way, I'm absolutely not at 50, but I'm also absolutely not at 5, right? I'm at the lower middle range, if you will, right? But if you just think about it, if somebody's charging, 2,000 or $1,000 a speech or $3,000 a speech, it's fairly likely that they're not making a living doing that, which means that they don't have the time nor resources to actually get better, either in their subject matter or in their skill of actually communicating. Now, if you're in the 100K plus, you're probably talking about celebrities. There's some minor celebrities you can get much less, right? But you're paying for an appearance fee, and whatever comes out of their mouth, that's kind of interesting. Okay, but people just want to know the story of and get to know like the celebrity experience, right? Former Olympic athletes, they all have wonderful stories, right? And you want to kind of hear them, right? But that's a different reason for actually having a speaker, and the price point might be different as well.